Breaking news in the world of Formula 1 2021. Seven-time Formula 1 world champion Lewis Hamilton has finally signed a contract to drive with Mercedes for the 2021 season. As a result, taking the British driver to a 9th consecutive season with the German world champions. But how long is this contract, I hear you ask? It's just one season. Just a one-year contract for Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. Surely we're not going to see Hamilton retire at the end of the season, right? Let's talk about it. Let's discuss. So, as always, if you are new, feel free to subscribe to keep up to date with all Formula 1 2021 news, reviews, gossip, all that good and juicy stuff. But we'll start off looking at the details. What is going on with this deal? What are the nitty-gritty bits that we all want to see? And that sticking point is that length of the contract. Just a one-season deal is something that many people were not expecting, but what I also think is more surprising is at the moment, as far as we can tell, and from all the statements from Mercedes and Hamilton himself, we'll go through those in a moment's time, there is no option for an add-on. So there's no option for a 1 year with an optional second year. It's just a very cut and dry one season deal for Lewis Hamilton, meaning in 12 months time we may go through this whole scenario all over again. Crikey, it's been a long time we've been waiting for this announcement, so let's take a quick look at what Hamilton and Toto Wolff, Mercedes team principal, had to say about the deal. I am excited to be heading into my 9th season with my Mercedes teammates. Our team has achieved incredible things together and we look forward to building on our successes even further while continuously looking to improve both on and off track. I'm equally determined to continue the journey we started to make in motorsport to make it more diverse for future generations, and I am grateful that Mercedes has been extremely supportive in my call to address this issue. I am proud to say we are taking that effort even further this year by launching a foundation dedicated to diversity and inclusion in the sport. I am inspired by all that we can build together and cannot wait to get back on track in March. I think we can all agree with that one, Lewis. And team principal Toto Wolff had similar things to say. We have always been aligned with Lewis that we would continue for 2021, but the very unusual year we had in 2020 meant it took a little bit of time to finish the process. Together, we have decided to extend the sporting relationship for another season and to begin a longer term project, interesting, to take the next step in our shared commitment to greater diversity within our sport. Lewis's competitive record stands alongside the best the sports world has ever seen, and he is a valued ambassador for our brand and our partners. The story of Mercedes and Lewis has written itself into the history books of our sport over the past 8 seasons, and we are hungry to compete and add more chapters to it. Thoughts of Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff, Mercedes team principal. And it's safe to say there was nothing too surprising from the words from both. However, there is clearly a desire to keep on improving, keep on pushing the boundaries, and of course, they're going to be fighting all the way for title number 8 for Lewis Hamilton and title number 8 for Mercedes this season. They're going to be in a good spot to do it. The car last year is going to be very similar to this year's machinery. So for Hamilton, signing a deal is almost a no-brainer. For Toto Wolff, of course they want Lewis Hamilton, the greatest driver of our generation, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, of all time in Formula 1. Of course they want him in that car. However, the fact this contract is just for one season suggests that the long-term plans of both parties, Hamilton and the Mercedes team, starts to differ slightly. And I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago in a weekly mailbox video. I think this is the point of the contract, why it's taken so long to sign. For Lewis, he is coming to the end of his Formula 1 career, and timing that retirement is going to be difficult. It's an option that, for many drivers, once you've pulled the trigger, you're never going to be able to take it back. So it's definitely a decision not to be taken lightly. We are also going into a massive regulation change in 2022, which in theory could see Mercedes drop from the dominant force that we have seen for the last 5 or 6 years all the way to the back of the grid Is that going to happen? Probably not. I would be very, very surprised if that were to happen. But it is a possibility. And there's a very high chance that they won't be world champions in 2022. And that's definitely something Hamilton has to bear in mind if he wants to continue this incredible legacy. And like almost all drivers on the grid, he wants to be fighting at the front. And if he thinks for whatever reason Mercedes 2022 efforts aren't quite as good as they are now, he's got the option to say at the end of this season, the end of 2021, guys, I want a break. He might just do what Fernando Alonso has just done, take a couple of seasons out and come back. I would be very surprised, but he may very well do that. He may decide to continue in 2022, but what Mercedes want is stability. And that is something that right now they do not have. Not only are we going into this regulation change, not only has their number one driver got a 1-year contract and may retire at the end of the season, their second driver, Valtteri Bottas, also has a 1-year contract, and so at the end of this season, there's 2 Mercedes seats available. There's 2 of the hottest seats in Formula 1 history available and up for grabs. With drivers up and down the grid out of contract, the driver market this year is going to be next level. But someone we've not mentioned yet, and someone that I do think plays a key part in the future of Hamilton, Bottas and the Mercedes team, is George Russell. Some of you that are watching this video that may not keep up to date all the time with Formula 1, George Russell drives for Williams. But more importantly, he's a Mercedes young driver, and last season got the incredible opportunity to race for Mercedes when Hamilton missed the Sakhir Grand Prix due to COVID-19. And George Russell put on a mega performance, a drive worthy of being a race winner, proving to the Formula 1 world he has the potential to be something special. He definitely has the potential and ability to be a Mercedes race driver and race winner, maybe even world champion, and that's something Mercedes have to consider. By the time we get to the end of this year, Russell would have driven 3 seasons in Formula 1 for Williams, and I firmly believe will be at a stage in his career where he is ready to take that next step up. It's a big jump from Williams to Mercedes, but what we have seen from George is he is capable of making that step up. Whether Mercedes choose to promote Russell will be completely up to them. But what they will have to decide, if they do decide to go that route, which of their 2 drivers will have to make way. In Hamilton, they have an all-time great, a driver that can steady the ship for the team and also help George Russell become an even better driver in the future. In Valtteri Bottas, they have a really solid rear gunner, someone who consistently score points, but maybe is missing that little bit of star quality to be world champion. There's potential there with Valtteri, we've just not quite seen it yet. That ruthless side isn't always on show on a Sunday. So if the team do decide to go with Hamilton and Russell, it's great for them. That's probably their ideal lineup. But with Hamilton unsure whether he wants to continue, they've got to leave that option on the table of having Valtteri and Russell for the next few years. And there's no denying there isn't much stability in that lineup. They are very much relying on Valtteri to make that step up, or for George to really be this next talisman, like we saw with Charles Leclerc when he went to Ferrari and Max Verstappen when he went to Red Bull. But is it worth putting all that pressure on a young driver like Russell? We've seen in recent years Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon really struggle to make that jump up. Is it fair to put all that pressure on Russell, not only replacing a number 1 driver, but replacing Lewis Hamilton? I'm not too sure. And that is something that's going to be a constant narrative through this season, but it's going to be a fun one. Who will be there next year? We don't know. But for this season, today, it has finally been announced Lewis Hamilton will race alongside Valtteri Bottas for Mercedes Formula 1 team in 2021. Thank you all very much for watching. If you are new, feel free to subscribe to keep up to date with all Formula 1 2020 news, reviews, podcasts, all that good stuff. Thank you guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.